have to tell people 5G is a killer. I'm Mark Steele, anybody who hasn't heard me. I'm weapons systems head-up display expert, one of the leading experts in the world. I've actually brought cover in relation to this, and the reason I became an expert was to invent them. What I'm going to say to you today, do not believe a single word I say. Not one. While you do your research, you'll find it's absolutely terrifying. This 5G roll-up is a weapon system. I've got a letter with central government because I know about weapon systems more than anything other.
In Britain, in a place in the north of England called Gateshead, a scientist there called Mark Steele has been very publicly and actively warning people about the effects of LED streetlights, which he says in Gateshead are emitting now 5G.
Right, what's the crack?
Lads, I'm just having a word with these Gateshead council workers about replacing these transmitters on these lights that are causing harm and assaulting the community. This is an existential threat to the economy, to the environment and humanity.
Well, if these transmitters are everywhere, then everyone's at risk, surely.
Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming to the National Press Club Federal Communications Commission Chairman Tom Wheeler.
It's an honor to be here at the National Press Club. The first generation wireless, 1G, was voice. The second generation, 2G, allowed both talk and text. The third generation, 3G, the internet, in a limited way. And today's technology, 4G, completed that digital migration. But if anyone tells you that they know the details of what 5G is going to become, run the other way.
We're now at a stage where we're putting in what's called 5G, which is a special type of broadcast for high-density information transfers. And it turns out that this is the same frequency bands that are used in crowd dispersal weaponry.
First and foremost, is densification, and it is also a sophisticated, illegal, unlawful transmitter. What I mean by that is it is a high-gain dielectric lens antenna, and what that allows 5G transmitters to do is to 3D map its environment in your home. The 868 megahertz frequency is specific for battlefield interrogation systems, so sub-gigahertz. It allows the signal to travel through concrete brickwork with ease, and it can actually data gather. It is a target acquiring system. Phased array is basically radar off the battlefield. It is extremely good at identifying targets and being able to lock onto targets. And not only that, it can specifically target you as an individual. So any judge sitting on an interesting case, let's say, any lawyer, any barrister, anybody doing any work that is potentially controversial, your life could be at threat. So the antenna design that you currently have on top of these LED streetlights, masquerading as a control management system, it basically battlefield interrogation equipment. The first phased array unit was actually called Mammoth, used by the Germans during the Second World War to identify Allied aircraft. Obviously things have moved on significantly since then.
Well, I joined the Royal Navy in 1960, and I specialised in microwave warfare. Radar, obviously, which uses microwave, but they don't just teach you radar, they teach you all about microwaves and other uses. So I understood about microwave warfare and how it can damage people, how it can harm people, Microwaves then were used as weapons, as they are today. It is a perfect stealth weapon, and when governments don't like a group of people, for instance the ladies who protest at Greenham Common in England about the American missile base they camped, they were microwaved. We microwaved Catholics in Northern Ireland to make them sick. It goes on all over the world, and it's a weapon that you don't know you're being targeted because the dose is very, very low, which is actually more dangerous than a high dose. It's very, very low, and it may take a year or two, but you can cause neurological damage and cancers with low-level microwaves, and you can make all your opponents sick. It's a perfect weapon for a government.
Yes, 5G will connect the Internet of Everything. If something can be connected, it will be connected in the 5G world. Hundreds of billions of microchips connected in products from pill bottles to plant waterers, requiring massive deployment of small cells. We won't wait for the standard. Now, to make this work, the 5G build-out is going to be very infrastructure intensive. We must reject the notion that the 5G future will be the sole provenance of urban areas. The 5G revolution will touch all corners, and that's damn important. The interconnected world of the future will be the result of decisions we must make today.
Faster, better, more reliable internet. That's the promise of 5G technology, but there is also the peril. Health hazards associated with radio frequency that is higher also and requires more transmitters and antennas. And the stark, simple fact is the health hazards are unknown and unstudied. And that is a sign of neglect and disregard on the part of the Federal Communications Commission that seems unacceptable. We need fact.
Now, when we look at 5G, 60 gigahertz, this is what they call active dispersal sort of weaponry, just to keep people back. It burns the skin. It doesn't penetrate, but 60 gigahertz is the frequency of oxygen molecule absorption. Since they have electrons that they share with each other, what we breathe is actually O2, pair of oxygen. So being bombarded with 60 gigahertz could very well impair our oxygen absorption rate in our body, and thereby the whole basis of our living system. Martin Paul says, putting tens of millions of 5G antennas without a single biological test of safety has to be about the stupidest idea anyone has had in the history of the world.
It's not using the same technology. They're switching to military-grade millimeter wave technology. And when you look at this technology, I mean, if you go and look at DARPA reports, come and look at some of the patents that the United States military has put out on what they can do with psychological weapons, all sorts of things, crowd control, active denial, anything you can think of, this is what they can do with 5G. So any type of military application you can think of which has an electromagnetic base, they can do with 5G. And they're putting this out blanket across the population.
So the connection between chemtrails and 5G?
It's all interconnected. The metallized particulates, that would allow the 5G phased array, so basically the radar, that would allow it to be able to identify you, so it can watch you, it can identify you in your own home 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
For the last X amount of years, we've been through chemtrailing, and that is now the cat is out of the box. We've had these nanoparticulates raining down on humanity for years now, impregnating our bodies, by best accounts staying inside our bodies. Those nanoparticulates, what you're saying, are building up a kind of a phosphorescence glow capability so that we can be flagged up in our homes, behind concrete and steel, inside bunkers, in the basement, doesn't matter where you are. The 5G will be able to now triangulate, map, and read you because you, as a living being, are impregnated with these nanoparticulates, which are acting as a kind of transmission and reception technology.
It's exactly, absolutely exactly.
I think anyone who puts Wi-Fi into a school should be locked up for the rest of their life. I really do. I think they're not fit to walk on the surface of this planet because they haven't looked at the research, and whatever incentive they have, it is not worth the genetic problems that parents are going to face with their children when they're born.
The fifth generation of wireless technology, or 5G as it's being rolled out worldwide without safety testing. Let me say that again, without safety testing. And how we've got scientists and doctors and environmental organizers saying, stop this. Because in terms of the effects of wireless radiation, the science is in. Wireless radiation can lead to cancerous heart tumors, brain tumors, DNA damage. Wireless radiation is linked to infertility, to autism, Alzheimer's, and more. And guess what? All the effects that I just listed, those are some of the effects that are known according to the technology that's being seen today.
The problem with 5G is that they're planning to put out tens of millions of these antennae all over the place without doing one single biological safety test.
Are you implying possibly that we, the consumers, are the guinea pigs since they haven't really done tests to see the effects in a smaller setting?
I mean, that's not an implication, it's a statement. We are, yes.
Do you think that there is a chance that within the third generation of females, they may be irreversibly sterile?
Not in the third generation, but in the fifth generation, and that would for humans be something in the order of 150 years ahead of us. And of course, then it's too late to say that you are sorry, and it's very too late to say stop. There is a wealth of papers. I mean, we're talking about thousands of published papers in the scientific literature, few of which, or sometimes none of which, have entered the official documentations from authorities and likewise. So I think it's really time to have an independent compilation of data. Such was done at August 31st, 2007 in the form of the Bioinitiative report, of which I was one of the authors. And then we put together approximately 2,000 scientific references on a little bit more than 600 pages, clearly saying that if you, for instance, if you are a rat or a mouse or a cell or a molecule, you should definitely not allow yourself to be exposed to this. And in the meantime, we have this full-scale experiment using our own kids.
One interesting case, John Patterson, he was a telecommunications engineer in Sydney, Australia. Very brilliant man.
For 20 years, John tested Telstra digital systems. Over the time, he realised the dangers of electromagnetic radiation.
It disrupts the bioelectric system of your body, which is really your brain, your nervous system, how your muscles talk.
And he tried warning of these effects through different agencies, through his company.
Got all the test gear out and measured it and drew up a report, and I was immediately removed from service.
Finally, in 2007, he took matters into his own hand. He commandeered a used British Army tank and went and destroyed 6 cell phone towers in Sydney, Australia, because he wanted to stop this. He was trying to make a point.
The message was that how dangerous it was.
You know, these people were elected by us to manage our infrastructure in a responsible manner. That is the sole purpose of government if it's going to exist at all. And if it doesn't do that, then it has no right. It is invalid. So we need to pull this infrastructure down. We really do. But in order to do that, I mean, we can't just be some violent domestic terrorist. You've got to bring this awareness to the people that these towers are doing them damage. You don't need bandwidth that fast. And they're not doing it so you can download movies quickly. They're doing it so they can track every single thing you do and bring in this social crediting system to control even everything you think.
Donald Trump and Bill Gates do not want 5G radiation, at least not for themselves. In the state of Florida, a law was passed which allows wireless telecommunications service providers to place 5G antennas everywhere without authorization, except in Palm Beach, the residence of billionaire Bill Gates and President Donald Trump. According to Tom Bradford, a city administrator, the ban temporarily blocks any applications to install wireless communications on public properties in Palm Beach. This exception was justified with the excuse that the installation of the antennas would disfigure the cityscape, something the residents might oppose. It remains an open question as to whether the prohibition of 5G installation in Palm Beach is actually to prevent the total surveillance or to stave off serious health damage by high-frequency microwave radiation. In any case, Gates and Trump do the right thing in renouncing 5G until conclusive scientific studies exist, showing its health impact on human beings.
אנחנו נמצאים באיזה מצב חירום בריאותי חינוכי או חינוכי בריאותי בנושא הזה לקראת כניסה של דור 5 במיוחד. אני חושב שחובתנו להביא את זה לידיעת הציבור.
המרחב הציבורי הוא של כולנו, והיום המרחב הזה עומד להתאפס על ידי דור 5. מי בעצם יבוא וירוויח מהדברים האלה? האם אפשר לראות שהרווח גם יחזור בסופו של דבר לחברה?
אנחנו חושבים מה עמדתנו לגבי הנושא של 5G, שזה דבר מאוד גדול שהולך להיכנס וההשפעה שלו תהיה אדירה. הפרטיות שלנו תיפגע, כן? יהיה ניצול של המרחב הציבורי. צריך גם לחשוב מה ההשפעה על בריאות הציבור. הבעיה הזאת היא בעצם בעיה של נחלת הכלל, בעיה של בריאות הציבור. יש חברות שמרוויחות הרבה מאוד כסף מהקשב שלנו ושל הילדים שלנו. יש כוחות כלכליים מאוד רציניים שהם רוצים להמשיך למכור מה שהם רוצים לילדים שלנו, והם בעולם ובישראל יכולים לעצור תהליכים כאלו ולדאוג שהם יוכלו להמשיך, שיהיה להם גישה ישירה למוח של הילדים שלנו. אם אתה מקבל מוצר בחינם, זה אומר שאתה המוצר, זה אומר שאתה המוצר, זה אומר שאתה המוצר.
כרגע אנחנו מתחת לתורה הישנה והטובה והתקנית. בסביבה שלנו יש כרגע, אתה מצב טיסה? כן. מצב טיסה, זה אומר שהטלפון שלו לא מקרין. גם שלי הטלפון מצב טיסה הוא בכיס, אז אין שום אפקט. אנחנו עכשיו הולכים, אם אתם תראו שם, זה לדים. אנחנו נתקדם לשם ותראו איך זה הופך להיות אדום ומצפצף. ככל שאנחנו מתקרבים, אתם תראו שכבר עובר את הסף. אתם רואים חברים? כל מי שנמצא פה בסביבה הזאת מוקרן 24 שעות. תראו מה זה. זה מדרגה. אדום, חבר'ה. ככל שאני מתקרב לפנסים הלד האלה, יש בהם אנטנה של 5G. עוד פעם אני מסביר. 5G זה אנטנה דור 5. מה שזה אומר שמתקינים בכל אנטנה. בתוך האנטנה מסליקים אותה בלי שנדע, בלי שיודיעו לנו בכלל אם אנחנו מוכנים או מוכנים. הם שמים אנטנה של דור 5 והיא מקרינה על כל הסביבה שלנו. זאת הטכנולוגיה החדשה. כל העמודים פה בארץ, בכל העיריות, בכל הארץ, כל עמוד תאורה ישן מורידים, מחליפים במקומו תאורה של דור 5, תאורת לד, שבתוכה מוסלקת צ'יפ קטן. הוא לא צריך להיות ענק, הטכנולוגיה כל כך מתקדמת שהכל עושים את זה בצורה נורא זהירה. ובפנים יש אנטנה של דור 5 שהיא מקרינה את כל הסביבה שלנו. והעמוד מתקשר עם העמוד, מתקשר עם העמוד, עד שמתקשר עם הטלפון שלך. וככה כל הסביבה שלנו הולכת להיות מוקרנת. אתם הייתם מוכנים? אתם הייתם מוכנים לגור פה בבניין הזה פה? אני לא הייתי מוכן לגור פה. לא התינוקת שלי, לא הילדה שלי ולא אשתי ולא המשפחה שלי. אני בטוח שגם אתם לא הייתם רוצים. חבר'ה, תתחילו לצאת מהבתים, תבינו מה הולך פה. זה פשוט מטורף.
ההבדלים העיקריים בין ה-4G שאיתו אנחנו משתמשים היום לבין ה-5G, בדור הרביעי אנחנו משתמשים במאות מגה הרצים, לעומת הדור החמישי שעוברים לשימוש בגלים מילימטריים. ההבדל השני זה פריסת האנטנות. בין האנטנות הגדולות שאנחנו מכירים לבין המכשירים שלנו נכנסת שכבה של עשרות או מאות אנטנות קטנות. ומעכשיו האנטנות הגדולות ידברו עם האנטנות הקטנות, והאנטנות הקטנות ידברו עם המכשירים הניידים שנמצאים בשטח הכיסוי. גלי רדיו או גלים, השראה אלקטרומגנטית, יכולים לעשות הרבה יותר מאשר תקשורת. אז לדוגמה, הווי-פיי שלנו בבית משדר ב-2.4 גיגה הרץ. צריך לזכור ש-2.4 גיגה הרץ גם בהספק נמוך מרקיד לכולנו את המולקולות של המים. צריך להבין שברגע שהקרינה הזו משפיעה על הגוף, המערכת החיסונית של הגוף נכנסת לסטרס. מה שאפשר לעשות עם הגלים המילימטריים, יש נשקים שיכולים לגרום לבן אדם לתחושות מסוימות, לכאבי ראש, לבחילה, להקאות. יש נשקי תדרים שיכולים לגרום לאדם לקבל התקף לב. יש נשקי תדרים שעובדים על מניפולציות אקלימיות על מזג האוויר. הכניסה של המערכת הזו היא צעד מאוד מאוד משמעותי בדרך שלנו לאיזושהי מציאות של דיקטטורה טכנולוגית, פשיסטית, כלל עולמית.